All right, thank you so much for being here. So, Coach Jose Reveiro was dismissed and at Al Ahly with immediate effect. And that's because I'm assuming they were not happy with his performance. Because, what other reason for dismissing a person or releasing a person who's been with you less than 2 months, if I'm not mistaken? And we saw that Coach Rulani also went to the African giant, Dima Waydad, and he was also released in a few months. And we know that Rulani is a committer. He's the type of coach that actually commits. I understand with Jose because for me, I feel like he had not cemented himself enough with Orlando Pirates. He had not built that kind of longevity where we understand that he's a Pirates coach, though he is still one of my favorite coaches. And I really loved the passion that he had for the game, especially when he was coaching for Orlando Pirates. So I was, displeased, and I felt like, he's migrating way too early. But I understood also, Uguti, it's a career move. Sometimes when you have to make a career move, you have to make the tough decisions. And then people are starting to compare as well that, these African countries, especially in North Africa, people are saying, you know what, it seems like they don't treat our coaches fairly and well. Looking at Pitso as well, who actually did accumulate success in the north, but at the same time, people said that he could have been treated better. He could have been treated better. He was moving from one field, one club to the next at some point to just continue coaching from in Al Ahly. But at the same time, we just felt like after all the achievements, after all the things that Pitso acquired for Al Ahly, he could have been treated better. So we're starting to see a pattern where we're realizing that what, perhaps I don't know what the coaches. South African coaches are promised when they go to African countries to coach. I'm assuming it's better salaries, and I'm assuming it's bigger audiences. But at the same time, we here are well established. Our teams are well established here. And the South African Football Association just makes sure that, we are at a standard that, can compete globally, even with our national teams, our smaller teams as well. They're getting good salaries. People will never always be happy. They're also, getting the recognition that they deserve. We have, sports awards. We have really many, many things that, are given to our soccer players, and soccer players in South African teams are treated with respect. So I'm thinking that maybe it's high time that we as South Africans, in terms of the football field or the football industry, we carefully evaluate and carefully look at things before we migrate, before we move, because we're starting to see a pattern that our coaches get that side and they're not treated fairly, and some of our players get that side and their careers vanish. Because if you leave, Mamelodi Sundowns or Orlando Pirates or Kaizer Chiefs and go internationally, it's not easy for you to come back and still play for one of our teams. You know what I'm saying? So especially if you were not a huge success that side. I think for Benny Mccarthy, for example, it was a little easier for him because he was a success that side. And ultimately, when things started, dying down a bit, he thought, let me go back to South Africa. He got here and played with Orlando Pirates, and then he started coaching. And then after that, he went international again, and he's now coaching for one of our big, African countries. So I would say to all players, coaches, let us think carefully and let us evaluate carefully. For me, it is about the money to some degree, but it's not about the money. It's all about where do you get to and are given the resources to push your team forward, are given the respect to push your team forward, are taken seriously as a coach, and you're given enough time to build and grow, and you're not penalized for losing. Because when you're going to coach a team that you've never coached before, there's a high chance that you might lose because you're still, trying to build momentum with your team. And when they just say bye for losing, for me, that constitutes for unfair treatment. What are your views? Let me know in the comment section below. Please follow me on Instagram. I'm at Zandy Water. Cheers.